simple. One thing. In the NFC right now, there's the 49ers, there's the Philadelphia Eagles, there's the Detroit Lions, and then there's space, everyone else.
Yes.
And there's 3 teams right now in the NFC who are going to be competing to go to the Super Bowl, in my opinion. And I know the 49ers are really good right now.
They looked really good last night.
But you're going to still have a chance to beat them. You're still on a level to where you're able to beat them. You're not on like a level like Dallas to where Dallas has no chance. You're on that level. And I know it's the Panthers. No. You can take from this game, a game you were supposed to go out there and you were a 9-point favorite and you beat them by 20 points. You went out there and took care of business like a contender does. And Dan Campbell, Brad Holmes, bringing in guys, Ben Johnson, Aaron Glenn, Jared Goff, not Amon-Ra, he didn't play, but David Montgomery, Kirby Joseph, Jerry Jacobs, Aiden Hutchinson, all of those guys, Penei Sewell, they're there now, and they're here to compete for a championship, and I love it.
Yeah, and nothing against the Carolina Panthers. Beating them, these games, I think we've learned in the last 2 weeks, and maybe it's just after this last game against the Panthers, that the Lions are a legit team. They're a legit contender, and what do legit contenders or Super Bowl contenders do? They take care of business when they have to. They beat the Carolina Panthers, and you're talking about matching up with the 49ers. The best advantage you can give yourself is ensuring, if at all possible, you get a home game against them. You don't have to travel out to San Francisco. And to do that, you have to take care of business earlier in the season. You have to beat the Atlanta Falcons. You have to beat the Packers. You have to beat the Panthers. You got to go to Tampa Bay in quite possibly a trap game, and you have to beat them too. All of that adds up, and that could leads to a first-round bye. We're going to talk about injuries today. The Lions can't buy any good luck here. Getting that first-round bye, that should be something that they strive for now. They feel like they could almost walk through the NFC North. I know we don't want to be ahead of ourselves, but the NFC North is not looking so good. They need to just take care of business the rest of their schedule, and we got real things that could happen. Nick, you got something?
Yeah, I mean that first round bye would be obviously ideal, but this Bucs game, we can't sleep on them, and we're not going to look ahead too much. We're kind of going to look back at what really broke down in this game, but let's not sleep on the Bucs here.
Now, do you guys feel? I know you said I actually agree with you, Booner. Chris, Nick, do you guys believe that the Lions are in that category with the Niners and the Eagles? Because I have a little something to pull out right after your answer. Pause.
Yeah, I 100% do. I really do think that they are in the top 3 here and borderline number 2. That's where I'm at with it.
I like that.
I got 49ers 1, Lions right there neck and neck with the Eagles at 2 and 3.
What's the stat? Or you go to Chris real quick?
Yeah,
I'm interested in this stat that you have.
Do you think they're in that group with the Eagles and the 49ers?
I do. I think they are. I think you have to give the Eagles and the 49ers at this point benefit of the doubt, considering the schedule that the Lions have played. While it's not the easiest, also hasn't been the toughest. I need to see a few more impressive wins, like if they can thrash Dallas or comfortably win against Dallas. Teams like that, Baltimore is one of the only games remaining on the schedule that I'm really, really looking at, like as a good game, a good measuring stick of how good you are as an NFL team. And that's the kind of the point I made on the heavyweights is right now, the Lions are past looking at the schedule. We had a conversation of, do you think this defense is elite or not? And Spencer was talking about the schedule. And I'm like, we're past looking at the schedule. Like now you're comparing it to teams. You're comparing it to specific teams, to the 49ers, to the Eagles, to all the teams that are contenders, because the Lions are contenders. And that's a whole other can of worms. Is now the time to buy in and make those kind of moves. You have that cap flexibility. You have draft capital to move. Brad Holmes, we know the lineage he comes from. Like, I think they are right now a contender. I would put them third just out of respect of seeing how far the Niners and the Eagles went last year. But can they beat both of those teams? Absolutely. If I'm being honest with you, the The only team I really truly fear right now is the 49ers because they just look absolutely complete.
Me too. That's the only fear that I have. If the Detroit Lions would have won that coin toss in overtime versus Seattle Seahawks, it's crazy to think, like, when you look back, the one loss came down to a coin toss, really. And there was obviously things for both sides, for the Seahawks and us, that both teams could have done better to not have to go to overtime. And so, like, if Lions fans want to be like, well, they could have won it in overtime, like, I don't care, because the Seahawks could have done that too. Yeah. But in overtime, you're a coin toss away and one stop in overtime away from having a chance to beat the Seahawks and beating them, and being 5-0 right now, and being there, talked about, really, you could say, with the 49ers or with past the Eagles, and it would be a clear, you're better than the Philadelphia Eagles. So you're that far away, and that's why I almost can put them above the Eagles, is because of that.
Definitely not to revert to the schedule, but I'm going to talk about it in context of the teams that they're contending with. But so there's 12 games remaining, and here's where the Lions stand in terms of their strength of schedule compared to some of the other NFC contenders. We've got the Cowboys, who have the 4th hardest schedule for the remainder of the season. The Eagles have the 9th hardest schedule. The 49ers have the 10th hardest schedule. And the Lions have the 31st hardest schedule for the remainder of the season.
Well, you know what? This is the thing, though. And beautiful Tim did put in here, let's focus on the Bucs one game at a time. First of all, last week, there was people, and even I didn't say it was a trap game, but I did feel like, hey, you still have to focus on the game. I had that Dan Campbell mindset.
No, you did.
But we did talk about it last week, that this Bucs game is a trap game. This is a game where you're 4-1. Everyone's talking about you now as a top 3 team in the NFC. You're going on the road and facing I would say, not like a great team, but a really good team that's at home. They don't have a ton of injuries, and you're coming off a ton of injuries and hoping guys are healthy again. That is a trap game on the road. So yes, that and Broder, that is a great stat. Love the strength of schedule stat. You still have to go out and win those games.
Oh yeah.
Because at the end of the day, it's like, in college football, maybe the strength of schedule would be like cool and like awesome for me. But in the NFL, the strength of schedule, you're still playing some dogs out there. There's still there's some players that could go off it. Like, look at DJ Moore and Justin Fields the other day. They're the 32nd team in the NFL, in my opinion, and they both just went off in Thursday Night Football.
100%. The strength of schedule isn't factored into their postseason ranking or where they are in the standings at the end of the year, like college football. It puts a little context around the journey in front of that. We're battling some injuries.
Guys.
Yeah, exactly.
Top 10 hard strength.
And you want to see them be able to beat the Panthers of the league, the Atlanta Falcons, earlier in the season, because they might be better than some of the teams later on. To be determined. That's way far ahead. We got Tampa Bay next week. But before the Tampa Bay game, you're going to be pre-gaming.
I will.
And you're going to be telling them about the Woodward Sports pregame.
The Woodward Sports Lions pregame show. Listen, it is me. I keep saying listen, fellas. It is me and Jeff Frady, I believe, this week, because it is a road game, and we are both on the desk on road games. Look at Jeff Frady up there. It will be Sunday from 9:30. And actually, I'm going to do what Broder did here, because Sunday the game actually got flexed to 4:30 or 4:15. So we might be a little later than that 9:30 time, but make sure you guys tune in for all of the breakdown of the game versus the Bucs on Sunday, all the player injuries, everything you need to know. Tune in to the Woodward Sports YouTube channel and check us out right before the game. A couple hours, about 2 or 3 hours before the game, we will be live.
Let's go. So, Booner, before we go to break in about 2-3 minutes, I got to ask you, is this game against the Panthers, this victory, this dominant victory, is this the start of something special, or start of real change in this Detroit Lions organization?
It feels like it. The reason, too, is I think a lot of people can agree with this in the chat. And if you've been a Lions fans for 20 years, 30 years, and myself, like 15 or whatever it's been, when I really start remember watching the Lions, and people who are older, they're like 40, 50 years, you've had good teams, like with Jim Caldwell, with Jim Schwartz. Like, you've had good football teams. You went out there, and I think in 2011 they started 5-0 and ended up struggling after that. But there's just a feeling, and if you watch the games, there's just a night and day difference of this team. And if you watch football and you know football at all, you know this defense has been dominant. They're running around. They're all over the ball. They're everywhere. The offense with Ben Johnson, unstoppable. There's times, yes, they get stopped, but they're just like a 49ers offense. They're just like an Eagles offense. They're just like a Chiefs offense right now. If they need to go get a score, they can go get it.
I'd argue the 49ers are just like the Lions offense after stealing their little
After the
reverse
play.
play.
Yeah.
Little flea flicker reverse. It's literally the exact same play.
Yeah.
But I'm with you. I just their offense is headed that direction, and the defense is playing out of their mind, and they're both missing huge pieces. Players they thought were going to contribute early
Yes.
and often throughout the season. They're missing them and still playing at the top of the league.
It makes me think really like with it as well is once you get healthy, because I don't know, like, can there be a way that the Lions go through this and they're just consistently all year dealing with these injuries